Standard post-heliosal zenith greeting to you, operative of the 4th Terrestrial Audio-Visual Communicational Channel.
I'm sorry?
Good afternoon, Channel 4 person.
Oh, good afternoon. How can I help you?
I wish to proffer a quantity of appreciations with regard to your transmitted offerings, which stimulated within myself a spontaneous human reaction in the spectrum of mirth.
I'm sorry, you've lost me again.
I wanted to thank you for today's excellent comedy programme.
I don't think we've transmitted any comedy shows today, sir. Can you remember what it was called?
Affirmative. It was nomenclatured the Formula One highlights.
Oh, I see.
The suboptimal performances of some orange-hued high-velocity vehicles prompted in myself an amusement quantity of such magnitudinous reading that there was a downloading of faecal matter to my pantal area.
I'm hanging up now.
Hello and welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed, and after a gap of 4 months I'm pleased to say that F1 is back. I'm Gareth, he's Zog.
Hello.
And he's Richard.
Hello.
How did you cope with the wait, boys? Did you find any anxiety in that gap? As the week leading up to F1, I was really looking forward to practice like an absurdly obsessed fan. Did you two suffer that as well?
I was hoping that McLaren would turn out to be not quite as catastrophically awful as they appeared to be in testing, but no such luck.
Richard?
No, I don't know. I think I'm a bit busy. No.
I was going to say jaded, cynical.
Well, there's that as well. I don't know.
That's why we love you.
No, I was looking forward to it, but then I also remembered that I was away last weekend and I was doing something else quite cool, and I sort of pushed F1 to the back of my mind a little bit, and I realised that the race was on early and I was staying in a hotel, and I thought, if by some chance my 3-year-old boy wakes up at 6 a.m,
Yeah.
well, we'll get up
You'll
and we'll
just stay awake and
watch
you'll
the
check the
race.
race
And he didn't, because we let him stay up late the night before because we were away. Ooh, exciting if you're 3. And so he slept until like almost 9.
Wow.
And so did I. And,
Wow,
and my
'cause you
wife.
could.
And
So
we had
you-
breakfast in bed in a hotel room. Luxury.
Nice.
So, yeah, sorry about that, but I didn't watch the race live. I was doing nice things.
Watch practice live. I could not watch. Is that a thing? Could not watch practice. when I
Wasn't
knew
practice
it was...
then at 5 a.m? Because the clocks went forward.
No, the clocks went forward between qualifying and the race.
So qualifying was at 5 a.m.
No, qualifying was at 6 a.m. because
But
it's
then-
slightly later than the race because it's only a short session. But I was able to watch practice at something like 1 o'clock in the morning or 12:30. I lay on the sofa here, had an hour's nap, woke up, watched a bit of practice. Didn't manage to stick around for second practice, but first practice, finally seeing the cars on a race circuit in a competitive form, deeply satisfying. They look lovely, don't they?
There's some good new liveries there. I quite like that Force India pink. That's got
Yeah,
a certain
I
something,
do.
you know.
Yeah.
It's
Distinctive, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's different.
It's the only good thing about it. I do like the new McLaren livery, that orange.
It looks all right on the telly, but I'm afraid there is going to have to be a new rule brought in with immediate effect.
And
which
what is that rule, Richard Porter?
That the McLaren and the Ferrari are not allowed to be anywhere on the track at the same time near each other, because that red and that orange does not go together. Clashes. It's an ugly tonal match.
Red and orange
that
should
hasn't
never be
struck me,
seen.
actually.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the Ferrari seems to be really quick and the McLaren isn't, so
Yeah.
it's unusual for that to happen. But
They're not
what I
really
mean
the same
is,
bit of
when the
track for very
Ferrari
long,
is
are
going
they?
to lap a McLaren at any
Yeah.
point in the future, the McLaren must
it.
in fact pull over behind some strategically arranged curtains at various points on the track and wait there until the Ferrari's gone by, would be my suggestion.
But if you think about it, the contrast of orange and blue is all right, and those McLarens are going to be seeing a lot of blue flags, aren't they?
That's
it,
true.
yeah.
That light blue with orange, I mean, that's sort of getting into the Gulf
Cloudy.
area there. That's a
Yeah.
good colour
It
combination.
is a good colour combo.
Alternative suggestion, Ferrari spray their cars light blue. Can you imagine? The things that would never happen.
Ferrari
Things
did
like that.
race in blue and white once in the 1960s. Enzo.
Well, I think they mostly raced in black and white in the 60s, didn't they?
No. There was some argument over the change of Formula One rules, and Enzo said, right, that's it, we are not entering the next race. And Ferrari, or Scuderia Ferrari, did not enter a car for the next race. However, their cars turned up, the same cars, the same drivers, the same team, painted white and blue, and it was Ferrari of America, apparently, who were fielding the team. So it can happen.
Well, they have used lots of different sort of colour schemes on GT cars and stuff racing over the years, haven't they? Because there have been a whole series of special editions happening this year of road cars.
They're paying tribute to their classic
different classic racing liveries and sort of one
Mm.
of each. Some of them look terrific. I mean, some of them not so much, but some are great. Really, really groovy stuff.
Well, essentially, we're kind of getting to a point right now where there are a lot of sort of 50th or 60th anniversaries of particular cars.
Or 40th for Williams,
for people to commemorate. And
Speaking of which, did you see at the Australian Grand Prix, through the magic of digital graphics, and particularly that when they can, what do they call it?
are you talking about putting a digital advert on the
Yes,
track,
that.
on a corner, so you get an enormous car?
Yes, the
Giant
Sauber.
Sauber,
25 years of a massive Sauber.
I was terrified. There is no way when I saw that, I thought that cannot be legal. The scale of that car.
I completely misread the regulations.
Everyone I know who saw that
I
had the
did
same
think-
reaction.
The first part that I saw that shot, I thought, wow, that's a huge model they've stuck on the track. Oh, okay, right, now I get it.
Yeah, I should point out, if you didn't see that, it appeared at turn 3, I think, what appeared to be a double-size, virtual 3D CGI model of this year's Sauber, celebrating Sauber's 25 years in Formula 1 without a win. Unless you count the BMW win that they had when Kubica drove for them. That was the only time. They won once, didn't they?
But I was hoping it was going to stay there sort of all weekend. And if any cars went off across that corner, they got built into the software a way in which the massive Sauber could go boom and spin around and bits come off it.
That would be
something
nice.
I'd like that.
There was other interesting stuff to observe as well. It changed between practice and the race, but when Vettel first appeared on the Friday for practice, he was sporting a beard, but what looked like not his own beard. He looked like he was looking after a beard for someone else. There used to be a band in Liverpool in the 1980s, very early 80s, called Attempted Moustache, which I thought was a great name for a band. And this was the best attempted beard I've ever seen. So I should think we ought to refer to Vettel now as attempted beard from now on. He shaved it, though. He trimmed it, rather, between qualifying and the race, and he looks a bit more together.
I'm going to look that up. I missed the beard. I'm going to have to check that out.
Poor beard. It really was quite tatty for a beard. And I like a beard.
Clearly, shaving it off didn't do him any harm. Clearly didn't affect his performance.
And there were other changes as well. When the Haas first took to the track on the Friday, it had a T-wing on the rear of the Shark's fin, and the Shark's fin was wobbling like, a teenager's sheets on a washing line, wagging around with the... I'm thinking of a more rigid
It's an unusual metaphor.
Well, you've got to think of somewhere, and I've got teenagers in the house,
Oh,
you know how
my
it
Lord.
is. And the T-bar, as it were, on top of that, was equally wagging. And as Pat Simmons observed, "What's that doing to the airflow over the rear wing? Yeah, the idea of that T-wing, which is supposed to condition the air onto the rear wing, was wagging air all over it. But they took it off for qualifying, took the T-bar off, and then refitted it for the race, and somehow, fair play, managed to engineer some sort of supports for it as well, so it wasn't wagging around anymore.
Well, I think they were told to remove it by the
FIA
stewards,
the race stewards under a dangerous bit of bodywork rule. We had stickers flying off at one point as well. Was it during the race? One of the cars had stuff peeling off the side.
Yeah, the Force India, actually, there was tape flapping on the side.
There's that pink livery that was announced at such short notice is basically a wrap. I just went to some place under some arches in Ealing and got it done.
Here you go, run this one off for us.
I tell you, it's the same colour as my late mother's bathroom suite, that pink.
It is, you're right. It's not that I saw your late mother's bathroom, but that is 1970s bathroom pink,
It
isn't
is, yeah.
Maybe later in the season they can suddenly go avocado, or my parents had a bathroom that was champagne. It's basically a sort of shiny beige.
Maybe they should just get sponsorship from Armitage Shanks
Yes.
or someone like that. That would do it.
My mate Duncan, who's my old flatmate from when I was at university, was in a band. He was in a series of bands. And
Was one of them called Platform?
That was our spin-off. That was. I forgot you knew about Platform. Duncan was in a 9-piece rhythm and blues covers band called Platform Soul. And we used to live in this huge old sort of, I guess, early Victorian house, massive 3-storey. And Duncan's room particularly was huge, and it was big enough for a 9-piece rhythm and blues band to practice in. So they used to leave all their equipment around there when they weren't gigging. And one evening, Duncan and I started mucking around, like me on keyboards and him. He was a drummer, but he could play guitar as well. Just playing songs and making up stuff. And one of our housemates came in and we went, look, we're being Platform Soul. And she went, Platform more like. And we became Platform and we used to write songs about our local curry house and stuff like that. And our favourite song, which I wrote, and I'm very proud of this, we wrote a song called My Best Friend Thinks He's Dutch, which was about having a mate who pretends to be Dutch but isn't really Dutch. Where are we going with this?
I don't care.
Oh,
really.
yeah, no, I know what it was. And I
That's
just remembered. So Duncan's other band, just when we were in third year at university, he joined a 4-piece band that used to do original songs. And they were looking for a name. And they eventually became Kato, after the character from Pink Panther.
Yes.
And they were very good. They were a good band. But I lobbied very strongly that they should call themselves Armitage Shanks, because I was like, then every time someone goes for a Waz, they'll think of your band.
clever.
And they went, I'm not sure that's the kind of association we want.
I like that idea. I'm going to form a band called Kellogg's, and every morning someone will think of you, won't they? That's clever, that.
You've got to be careful on the legal side.
There is a slight trade.
I'll spell it with 3 L's.
Maybe.
And a different K. C, maybe.
Yeah.
A smaller side, Formula One.
That was the name of my band.
A smaller side?
No. Formula One. And then the lawyers came knocking,
2 days
so we changed our name to Coca-Cola.
Did you notice the T-wing on the Mercedes? It being not just a biplane, but now
it's almost like a mouth. It's like an oval, like
closed
like
ends.
Biplane.
A biplane with closed ends, but the top element had a shiny sub-element on it as well, so it was effectively a triplane in the Fokker DR1 sort of way. I thought that was really maximising your airflow management. Fair play to them.
It reminded me of, I've seen that on a Mercedes before, but it was in a Viano, and they put these funny little coat hanger things on the backs of the seats so that business people can hang their suit jackets up.
I know what you mean.
You see them.
Was
Do you ever see those?
hanger.
If you're on the M4 coming out of London going towards Heathrow Airport, you see those posh minicabs that are Vianos and
Viano indeed, Richard.
Viano indeed, and also Torneo indeed. I think they have it as well. They have their jacket hanger, and I just looked at that Mercedes F1 car and went, "Oh, they put a jacket hanger on the back, which is very handy."
Generally, the look of the new cars, good.
They do look good,
but the T-wings and the shark fins, no, not really. Not so good.
I don't mind the T-wings. Shark's fins upset me, although there was a bit of sculpting going on with the Haas and with the Mercedes that has improved it quite nicely. It makes it like
and the
a bit
Haas
more
looks
dynamic.
better generally. On telly, that grey is a bit nicer than it was in the pictures, where it looked very flat and sort of turgid. And it's not bad.
Maybe.
It's not the nicest looking car, but it's better.
It's going all right.
It was, yeah.
Oh, we'll come to that in a moment. Other things to observe that you can now watch. If you have such technology in your home, in the UK, you can see Formula One in Ultra HD. So I assume our Ultra fan Dave Stebbings is watching it that way. Neither of you two got 4K televisions, no?
Afraid not, no. But,
no. Or 4K receivers, which cost an extra £42 a month.
What?
It's a lot of money. If you want to go up to Sky Q,
oh, really?
it's an extra £42 a month, I believe. It's a lot of money, isn't it, over a year?
Yeah.
As much as I love Ted Kravitz.
You don't need to see him in that much detail.
Exactly.
I mean, I sort of think that if you saw Ted Kravitz on 4K, he'd be more detailed than he is in real life. And he's pretty detailed.
The detail of his notebooks is fantastic.
He's very good.
He's a detailed
But
man.
speaking of detail, okay, how about those slow-mo shots that we've had more of in the last couple of years? Beautiful close-up.
Ultra slow-mo.
Ultra slow-mo shots. Really seeing the suspension work as the car's going over a curb. Seeing that in 4K. I like the thought of that.
I'd like to see it. I've never actually even glimpsed a 4K monitor. Have you seen anything in 4K, Richard? You work in television.
We do Grand Tour in 4K.
Uh-huh.
And it is quite dramatic when you see it. Proper full-res 4K is extraordinary. Because I remember when HD came in, and I went to a demonstration of HD, and they were showing off all this stuff. And I remember thinking, I mean, it's a bit sharper, but it's like they were making a big old fuss about it. And I just thought, yeah, it's all right. And I mean, now I can tell, because, sometimes if you have Sky or something like that, for some reason, BBC Two on Sky is always HD. You only get the HD. I think they only transmit in HD now. BBC One, there's still the SD, because inexplicably, local news isn't in high def. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Interesting.
why would you not have HD?
Well, it certainly isn't in
Yeah.
London, but the main news is. So every time
Yeah.
you go from the main news to the local news, and you go, now the news in your area, which would be all a bit soft. And
Yeah, it is.
And you have to switch over. And you can tell the difference. And it's particularly true on the Formula One. If you accidentally watch it on Channel 4, not in HD, all the on-screen graphics and things
Yeah.
look very soft and
Yeah.
slightly blurry almost. It's weird. But the step between HD and 4K, I think, is even more dramatic.
Really?
It's extraordinary. Certainly the way that we were shooting the Grand Tour. It's also the way that the cameras deal with things like, if you've seen the Grand Tour and you see the way that the presenters stand against a window, and you have to light things like that very carefully. Of course, the window, if it's bright sunshine outside, just blows out everything. It looks awful. It basically gets silhouettes.
Hang on, blows out, you mean backlit,
Yeah,
too
yeah,
much
sorry,
light, so
yes.
the foreground stuff becomes...
But it just, 4K, it's finding light, and it's just that we like that studio in a very different way. I mean, it's still brightly lit. We have these incredible lamps in the ceiling. They're very bright, but you can look at them because it has some
Have they got big diffusers
light.
or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Again, this is nothing to do with Formula One, except to your point that I think Formula One in 4K would look pretty groovy.
I'd be interested to hear, our audience are passionate about Formula One, and I wonder if anyone out there is watching it in Ultra HD or 4K, whatever you want to call it. I'd be very interested to hear your response to that. You can email us on speed@garethjones.tv or get us via Twitter or Facebook, whatever you want. I don't know if I can justify the cost as much as I love Formula One. I don't know if I could justify the cost just yet. Maybe soon. We'll see.
Formula One in full Ultra Mega 4K Extra, only on Sky X. Featuring incredibly detailed lack of overtaking, disappointingly low sound. The burger costs £90. So realistic, it's like you're actually there.
Sniff Petrol with Gareth Jones on speed!
Do you know what? Seeing the numbers on the cars gave me an idea. You could do F1 bingo. All the fours, Lewis Hamilton. 7 and 7, Valtteri Bottas. See what I mean? It would work, wouldn't it? What are the other ones? Sweet 16, Esteban Ocon.
Yeah.
How many numbers do you need to play bingo, though?
No,
I really
19.
don't know.
Jolly and Palmer.
Aren't there...
Don't you need
how
like a
many
grid of-
numbers? Yeah, aren't there, like, isn't it 1 to 100 in bingo? I don't really know.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't.
No
Number
one's ever played
9.
bingo. We don't know.
Number 9. Number 9.
On its own.
Marcus Ericsson.
On his own.
My mate Phil Cornwell used to do bingo caller on acid. 2 and 6, 94. All the 2s, 11. Lucky 7. Who's lucky 7? Who's number 7? Is that Vettel? No, he's 5, isn't he? Vettel?
It's not. I mean, what's Raikkonen? I can't remember. Raikkonen's just sort of...
He doesn't
has
care.
just some number, doesn't he? I think it's his old racing number, but I always like to imagine they went, Kimmy, you're getting a number now and that's it. It's going to stick. And he just went, 1. No, you can't have 1 because that's... Okay, 2. Now someone else has got that. 14. And he just doesn't give a
picks a
toss.
number, picks a number.
Yeah, whatever he was looking at that point.
Just give me a car. Let me drive it.
Yeah.
Don't care about the rest.
One final observation about the cars before we actually talk about racing and qualifying and all that. Renault, have you seen the Renault? It's a yellow car, but the rear end of the car is deliberately black, right? Are they doing it just to wind up fellow French car manufacturers Peugeot, who've done that for their road cars? You know, all the GTI Peugeots now, if you want, you can have them with a black back end.
I was just driving a 3008 with a goldeny brown front and a black back. Bit weird, but
Golden brown.
I don't
Sounds good.
know that that's why they've done it. But I thought that Renault looked quite good.
But can you imagine how upset Peugeot would be, though? Because that's their thing, and now Renault are doing it. Oh, that's our thing, you'd say.
If you start to have a thing about other people putting black on their cars in the motor industry, you're going to spend a lot of time being quite wound up.
Well,
Or
yeah.
like the man I heard in the bar of a hotel in Los Angeles ordering a martini and then going, 2 olives. 2 olives. And then he turned to the person who's winning 2 olives. That's my thing.
You told us that.
It's
Because
terrible.
nobody else has that thing.
No.
Yeah,
Well, so, yes.
2 olives.
I think being a dick, that's my thing. That's what he really meant.
Here's your thoughts as well. These new cars, bigger tyres, more mechanical grip, less braking. They go around the corners by braking less because they don't have to slow down quite as much because they go around the corners more quickly.
Right.
Therefore, are not recovering energy as much as they used to.
Correct. And they've kind of got fewer opportunities to deploy the recovered energy. So I think they've got a harder time really managing the whole energy recovery and deployment thing this year.
Big tyres aren't green then.
Well, they're not. They should put them on those very skinny, hard rubber tyres like a Toyota Prius.
Low rolling
Let's see
resistance.
what happens then.
Well, we know
Makes
that's
things
fun.
interesting, exactly.
Yeah.
Or on Toyota GT86. Eco-E tyres.
Fun, but not necessarily quicker. But
That's
do you want
just-
fast or do you want fun?
Yes, exactly.
Right, qualifying. Vettel got on the front row alongside Lewis. Did he do it because A, he's in a quicker car than he has been recently, or B, Bottas wasn't as quick as we hoped he might be, or C, combination of both those things?
You had exactly what I think you would have expected in that Lewis was quicker than Bottas, Vettel was quicker than Raikkonen. The interesting thing is that the gap in speed between the Mercedes and the Ferrari is not very much, whatever it is, and it's clearly well within the window that is allowed by driver performance on the day, bit of a strategy call, bit of luck, just how things fall one with the other, and development. So bodes very well for the whole season.
What do we think of Bottas then? Is he going to be able to take the chase to Lewis? It's early days to say, isn't it? But you kind of hope that someone who is supposed to be a prodigious talent like Bottas might come out of the garage and be instantly quick. That's a mark of a great driver, isn't it?
Well, and he was quick, and you can be incredibly quick, but still not beat Lewis Hamilton. It's
Is that saying Lewis is incredibly quick?
he's the best. Come on, he's it's
That's the thing. He's a very quick driver. If he was coming out in a new car and he wasn't faster than his teammate, I don't know, Marcus Ericsson or someone like that, you just go, well, now come on, you're supposed to be better than this. But it's Lewis Hamilton, 3-time world champion. And
well settled in at the team.
One of the best. Yeah, that's the other thing. I drive a lot of different cars, and sometimes you're in a car and you can't remember where all the buttons and controls are because you're still thinking of the previous car or your own car or whatever. I'm sure it's the same for Bottas. He's still getting his head around how it all works. I'm sure their steering wheel's a little bit different. I'm sounding like I'm being flippant, and I'm not. I really think it's probably you just get comfortable with something, don't you?
Yeah.
And also with just the people around you. He's still the new boy.
It has happened in extremis. Do you remember when, was it Alonso drove the McLaren into the Renault garage by mistake?
They've all done that, haven't they?
Yeah.
Button did
There've been a
it
couple-
once, didn't he?
yeah.
I think Hamilton's done it. There's been quite a few of those. They're not, in fact, Hamilton did it, didn't he? Drove with the Mercedes into the McLaren pit, I think.
Is that
Did he?
right?
Maybe. I think
They might have just been doing it to piss them off, but I don't know. It has happened
It's
a
easy
few
to-
times.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, it's force of habit, isn't it? So it's the same. But I just also think psychologically, it's like any job. You start a new job, when you've only been there a few months, you're sort of feeling like, oh, it sounds like everyone in the office is organising a night out, but no one's asked me yet. Oh, God, I'm not really part of the team yet. It's that kind of thing. I think you've got to be comfortable with the people around you, and then you can sort of truly relax and just concentrate on the job in hand.
He sounded relaxed, actually, Bottas, in all the interviews before stuff. He sounded sort of confident and easy, he seemed a
He
bit
always sounds like
brighter.
that, doesn't he? He's Finnish. I mean, it's just...
He keeps it under generally, doesn't he? He's a bit more smiley than some Finnish drivers, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's good and solid and grounded
Yeah.
and kind of methodical and tremendously talented. But even if everything goes right, and even if he's settling in that team as well as he can, it would still have been quite a surprise if he had actually bested Hamilton in qualifying.
I did want him to. I love Lewis, but I did want Bottas to come out and smash Lewis just for the shock of it all.
Just for the- oh, sure, yeah.
I love him.
But having somebody else win the race, having Vettel win the race, is that second a consolation prize for
Yeah,
you, having
yeah.
Ferrari win?
Yeah, I want someone to take the race to Mercedes. Not least of all because I discovered the best Mercedes fact ever the other day. You're going to love this?
Come on.
Do you know what Toto Wolff's real name is?
Gary.
Worse than that.
Go on.
Ludwig.
Worse than that. In fact, no, better than Gary or Ludwig.
Who?
Toto is like Bob is to Robert or Phil to Philip. Toto appears to be short for his real name, which
Totem
is...
pole.
You'd hope so, but it's even better than Totem Pole. In many ways, it's similar.
Totenhausen.
Oh, it's very good, but no. Keep guessing. Totem Pole's the best one yet. You're not going to get it. I'm going to have to tell you.
No, I don't
Come on,
know. Is
come on.
it Africa by Toto?
Even better than that.
Go on.
Toto Wolff's real name is Todger Wolff.
No.
Impossible.
Check it.
What?
Todger.
Todger?
Not spelled Todger.
No. It's some like Torger, Torger. Torger. Todger Wolff. Nobby Wolff. Cocky Wolff. Okay. Willie Wolff.
Willie Wolff sounds like quite a good
Schlonger Wolff.
Yeah.
Something.
Isn't that brilliant?
I met a chap last weekend. I met an explorer guy called Kenton Cool.
No.
He gave this talk about climbing Everest, and his opening remark was, before anyone asks, yes, that's my real name. And his son, he'd got his kids with him, his son is called Willoughby Cool.
No.
That is a name.
Willoughby.
Holy mother of God,
Another
that's a name.
explorer in the
Well, it is
market.
exactly, isn't
Gotta
it?
be.
He's never going to be...
Ollie.
I'm sorry,
Never going to be an accountant.
I'm not actually the manager of this branch of phones for you. I'll have to go and get him, yes. Willoughby Cool. He's going to be something massively heroic, surely, with a name like that.
God,
Willoughby Cool. He might just be a really spotty kid. You know how people...
Well, that's...
Don't always
some friends of ours have got a little boy called Ace, and that's one of those names where it's like either he's going to be the highest of high achievers because he has to fulfil the name, or he's going to have to be deeply ironic and a massive slacker. There's no middle ground. There's here's our assistant area junior manager for carpets. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, like ace kick-ass.
Yeah, exactly. It's all or nothing.
It has been shown that people do gravitate towards businesses which reflect their name. Seriously.
Nominative
determinism.
determinism.
Yeah. For instance, there is a funeral directors in my hometown, Holywell, in North Wales, called G. Orr. Funeral directors, gore. It looks like gore.
But is there cognitive bias in this, or is there actual good research to say that the nominative determinism thing is working?
If your name was Corpsey Macdeath, I mean, that would be an extraordinary name.
You're going to notice.
Or
the Undertaker.
Dayath, it's always, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's Dayath, actually.
But was Toto's banging on the table there? Was that... A couple of people said they thought it looked a bit staged. It wasn't genuine.
No, I think he genuinely lost it. And it's become a meme. Have you noticed? There are lots of edits now of him banging on to Phil Collins things.
Really?
And to...
I haven't seen
the best one is the... Queen's We Will Rock You, where it goes boom, boom. and the is Mr. Bouncy. He used to be the finger, jumping up and down. Have you noticed how Vettel has become Mr. Bouncy at the end? He jumps now.
He does,
he was really, really bouncing. So happy. It's a good edit. What about that race then? What about the fact that they've all had to do more manual starts than they ever have done, and they all got away quite reasonably? No one messed it up, did
all
they?
made it through the first corner, okay, got off the like it. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, and the false start wasn't any of the driver's fault, as far as we can make out.
Oh, what was it? I wasn't paying attention to the explanation.
There was some dodgy signal received.
No, Hulk went to the wrong position, if I remember.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah,
I watched the highlights.
Oh, okay.
And so they allowed them. But the pain of that, having waited 4 months for the start of the race, they line up the start of the race and, you've got to do it again. Oh, God.
I always try to do it deliberately.
I think they
like when
did.
if you ever watch Top Gear, there's that Boeing 747 in the back of shot on the track. It's still there now. I was there the day they landed that. They'd taken all the seats out and everything, so it was quite light. But even so, we were told by the people who run the airfield, runway's marginal. It's only just long enough for a 747 to land. So watching come in, lovely summer's evening, undercarriage down, here he comes. He looked like he was sort of feet above the runway, suddenly, bam, whacked all the engines, full throttle, back up into the sky, gear retracts. Coming round again, and the bloke from the airfield went, we obviously didn't like the look of that. And we were like, oh my God, this can be really marginal.
Exciting. Yeah.
Comes in again, undercarriage down, he's coming. Touchdown, and then just went, and stopped. Stopped
no big deal.
From the end, because it's so light. No fuel, no passengers,
300 people on board.
Exactly. Just stopped, and we were like, he just did that first one because he got a little bit of fuel left and he wanted to put a bit of theatre into it for us.
Well, it's like jugglers, isn't it? Jugglers go, I will now juggle 3 balls. They juggle 3 balls. Very good. And they do behind the back and all that. And they pick up 4 balls. I will now juggle 4 balls. Oh, 4 balls. That's hard. And he goes, I will now attempt to juggle 11 balls or 15 balls. And they pick them all up and they drop one initially. They feign deliberately to make it look more difficult. And then when he does do it, you go, wow! I reckon this is Chase Carey saying, let's build the tension. We want to improve the show. That was a show, a bit of theatricalness. They said, Hulk, just go to the wrong position and we'll build the tension.
I like a couple of the little touches that they seem to have introduced to improve the show a bit. Having the drivers kind of decompress, not in their little room, but
in the garage.
Right in the garage. Nice touch. And I'm not sure whether letting the crowd onto the circuit They obviously let the crowd onto the circuit at the end of the race a little bit too soon, because you really shouldn't have the crowd coming onto the circuit while the cars are still circulating. Yeah. But
well,
they obviously...
should you? I mean, that certainly added a bit of spice to the show. Oh my God, that man with a barbecue is going to get run over.
But they obviously were keen to get the crowd closer to the action and get them, make it more accessible. And 2 thumbs up for that.
But if you were going to build a bit of pathos and anxiety into the drama of the thing, when you go and see a movie, the darkest bit is always before the success at the end. It's all going very well and the hero loses his super weapon and then has to take on the enemy. Ricciardo, his terrible qualifying, and then for the race, his car failing in the dummy grid lap. How awful was that? The highs and lows, it's got to have light and shade, any story arc, hasn't it? That was so painful for the honey badger, as they call him now.
Yeah, that was cruel and hugely disappointing for all the Australian fans, obviously. And well, for us, I'd really like Ricciardo. Would like to have seen him have a good run at his home Grand Prix, first race of the season. Yeah, it was one of those few occasions when you saw him interviewed after the race that he really wasn't looking chipper and on top of things.
Poor lad.
Very sad.
Ross Brawn won championships with Benetton, won championships with Ferrari, won championships with his own team, Brawn. What's the betting that he's going to win Formula One when he gets his teeth into the new rules which allow overtaking and all that? It's going to be right. I bet he does that thing that was proposed by the technical working group a few years ago, and that is remove the rear wing and instead just have 2 smaller rear wings over the rear tyres, which allows aerodynamic downforce, but does not disrupt the airflow behind. I bet he does that. He's going to sort it out, isn't he?
Yeah,
What's Ross going to do?
There'll be resistance to that because you won't be able to write sponsorship so much on it.
Well, the fins will stay there.
In the same way that it would be nice to think they just go back to straight V8 engines or V12s, V10s, whatever, just to bring some purity back to it. But all the car makers that do road cars are busy doing hybrid models. Mercedes already do, and it's only going to get more plug-in hybrids and stuff. Ferrari is sure to do. I mean, they already have the LaFerrari, but it'll trickle down to their other models. They need the marketing advantage of hybrid racing cars, so they'll resist that as well.
Yeah,
I don't doubt that Ross Brawn will do his best to evolve the rules, but I don't think it's going to be an easy fight because he's got these quite intransigent teams to fight against, and they have all sorts of other motives, don't they?
Yeah, but as you say, he's got to be the best person to tackle that problem of aerodynamics in the sport and coming up with a solution that'll work all round. Because he can see all the angles and he can see his way through any of the arguments against doing a particular thing. He understands the technology, he understands the sporting and the business aspects of it, so I think he'll...
You know how he'll do it as well? Ross Brawn's always said over the years, incremental steps, small incremental steps. If you put a frog into boiling water, it'll leap out. Put a frog into cold water, heat the water slowly, the frog will boil to death. That's what he'll do. He'll slowly change things.
He's going to boil frogs? Jesus Christ, Ross Brawn, what's wrong with you?
Out. But surely you can't take an incremental approach to something. If you've got to take a fundamentally different approach to the aerodynamics at the rear, you can't do that incrementally.
Over years, it'll just narrow it by inch every year.
If you're listening, Ross Brawn, you frog murdering. I don't think that's good enough, because I think, I know it's only one race in, but that was not, to my mind, an exciting race, and there was no overtaking, and that's a problem. So you need to sort it out pronto. Start on the rules for next year now to sort this out. Incremental is not good enough. I want those frogs to be cooked, turned into pate, served by March 2018.
A little bit of garlic butter.
If you missed the race, here's the highlights. This is what happened. Magnussen and Ericsson hit each other in lap 3. Both got going again. The stewards were said to be looking at the incident. It occurred to me that we should only have stewards called Stewart at races from now on. Jackie Stewart, Jimmy Stewart, Stuart Cosgrove from the NME, anyone called Stewart. I think that would be more entertainment if they want to improve the show.
My friend Paul from across the road
isn't called Stewart.
His surname's Stewart. But he doesn't know anything about F1, so...
Something disqualified.
Don't make him do that job. He won't enjoy it.
Van Dorn's display locked, yet another problem, but seemingly not a Honda problem. This seemed to be a McLaren problem. His steering wheel apparently froze the display. He was driving blind. He didn't know what gear he was in, what mode he was in. He had to come, shut down, do a proper Control-Alt-Delete and start the car. Which reminds me... I've worked out how to fix McLaren's problems. You got a minute? I'll tell you this.
Well, it's
Come on,
it's
let's
simple,
hear it.
isn't it? It's the Mercedes engine.
Can't be
Yeah.
a worse idea than the one they've got at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Let Sauber have the Honda engines, which apparently discussions have taken place between Sauber and Honda. Did you know this?
Yeah, I heard
And
that.
equally, discussions have taken place with Mercedes for McLaren to return to Mercedes. But I reckon that's not a long-term solution for them. That's just a short-term solution just to get them through until they can get another manufacturer on board. And who's the manufacturer that McLaren could go to?
McLaren.
You reckon they build their own engine?
I don't, but it would be, again,
Yeah,
marketing.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
a road car maker.
Yeah.
They make their own engines for the road car, sort of.
but the
It's an old
advantage-
Michelin engine.
But the advantage of going to a
crazy.
manufacturer is you don't just get an engine, you get technical support and financial support as well. The reason why McLaren can survive without major sponsors at the moment is that Honda are dumping money in the same way that BMW dumped money into Sauber when they were partners in that team. What I reckon they should do is...
Toyota?
Yes! Go to Toyota, because Toyota have said, well, if they change the rules, it's the ACO for Le Mans to be less of a hybrid, expensive technology sport than it is, which is what they're talking about doing. Toyota, we are not interested. Hybrid is our message. Imagine a McLaren Lexus. Who are the kings of hybrid technology? It would suit, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
but been there, done that, got an enormous hole in the bank account.
Yeah.
Yes, but they did that when they were trying to manufacture an engine and manufacture a chassis, and there was no doubt that the Toyota engine, which was very successful in the Williams, was as good as any engine in Formula One. They couldn't manufacture the chassis, and it was far more expensive to do both. So just allow them to be an engine supplier, a skill that they already have from Le Mans, and if Toyota won't do it, go to Porsche, Zog.
Well, yeah, but at the moment, but surely both of those companies are pretty committed to their endurance racing program, and Toyota have to win that race. You know,
Yeah,
they,
this
they
year.
wanna-
Yeah.
They have unfinished business.
Yeah.
I mean, we're always going to remember last year as the race that Toyota won but didn't.
Yeah.
Even so, they haven't got
It's an
the
interesting
trophy.
thought.
And if it's not Toyota, you could go to the company who want to be Toyota more than Toyota, Hyundai, who have also got some skill in energy recovery at the moment and battery technology. That would suit Formula One.
But
and
how much experience do they have in any kind of racing? What is their track
None,
record in doing any
apart from
kind
rally.
of motorsport?
just rally, really. And they're good at that, but it's a different game altogether. But about dumping energy into batteries and getting it out quick, that's a big part of Formula One at the moment. And they've got the cash flow to do that, I would think, Hyundai. And they want to take on the giants. That's my thought. That's how to say McLaren.
Interesting thought.
Okay, let's whiz through what else happened in the race worthy of a mention.
Okay, that's it. Good. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, the point Richard's making is a lack of overtaking. It's gone very quiet in
I'm
there.
trying to remember who. Okay, Verstappen put a couple of moves on. Didn't he?
And there was a moment where the McLaren was battled over by a Force India and a Renault, but that was because the McLaren was failing at that point and going
that
backwards.
doesn't count.
Yeah.
There was a point where Lewis was asked to get past Max, and he said, "Look, I can't do it. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
can't
he
do it." Because Max was A, quick enough, and B, perhaps the downwash from these new low rear wings prevented him from doing so. So,
Ocon put a couple of moves on.
Did he?
I can't remember the details now. I may have been half asleep, but
Ah,
yeah. there you go.
it's not all bad
run for
news,
Ocon.
though, because good news, John Booth, ex of Manor, is with Toro Rosso now. Did you know that? Toro Rosso. I'm very warmed by that. I'm suddenly very interested in Toro Rosso now John Booth's there. What else happened? Lance Stroll, he didn't do bad, did he?
He didn't crash
Correct.
in the race.
Yeah, correct. He had brake problems, but
Yeah.
we wish him well.
He pulled off at least one passing manoeuvre, so fair play to him. That's okay.
Best thing about Lance Stroll, his voice is clearly done by Greg Rosetsky. Have you noticed that? Yeah, really, we get on really well. Me and Massa, I'm doing really well in the car, and it's going to be okay. And I'm Canadian. Did you know that? So ultimately, the race was won by Ferrari. Hooray! Because you heard me say I like Vettel in a Ferrari, and I love Lewis. But I want someone to take the race to him, and I'm very pleased that the prancing horse are back.
Yeah, well, it looks like we've got a proper challenge on this season. Going into the weekend, I was very confidently thinking, going to be another fairly easy year for Lewis. Easy favourite, but still the favourite, but not a solid favourite.
Why did they boo him on the podium, though? Do you know?
Did they?
Yeah,
There was a
booing.
bit of booing, yeah.
A lot of booing.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Are they
I
saying
don't get
boo or boo-is? Simpsons fans?
Or boom.
Yes.
Maybe it's a sort of a street respect thing.
It's
Boom.
booing, sorry.
But my favourite moment of all the Formula One this year so far was Vettel walking like an Egyptian. Did you see that?
He did, yeah, he did.
He
a bit of
walked like-
bangles, a bit of the old... Yeah,
Walking like an Egyptian in the pit lane, in the
was.
garage of happiness, as opposed to the
Yeah.
room of
Awkward
malcontent.
silence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like the fact that it's a bit more accessible, but I do miss the fact that you can't anymore turn up the volume when they have that room and listen in on their conversations, because sometimes
I'll
you
be
get a
honest,
little bit
I mean, it was achingly embarrassing sometimes, and that's why I absolutely loved that room, and I don't like any moves to prevent that. Because, well, you know, it's
being put
been
in embarrassing,
scenes
awkward
of
positions.
some extraordinary things, including, of course, the infamous hat chuck.
that was brilliant.
And so, yeah, let's be honest, F1 is all about theatre and drama and grown men behaving like
silences.
stroppy toddlers. So let's have more of that, please.
And we'd like it to start the next race in China coming very, very soon. You'll be listening to Gareth Jones on Speed with Richard Porter.
Goodbye.
Zog.
Goodbye.
Me, Gareth. We're going to leave you with a tune. This is our annual start of the season song. F1's back 2017. See ya.
F1's back 2017. Manor racing, nowhere to be seen. But what exactly does this mean? Is Sauber or McLaren now the crappers team? Nico Rosberg's gone and retired. Instead, Bottas has been hired to race with Lewis. Will he be inspired now that the cars too have been retired? Lewis tried, but he wasn't able. Maranello were the fastest cars out of the stable. Toto Wolff, how? And he smashed the table. Has the balance been tipped? Is the silver arrows right now gone unstable?
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site, follow us on Twitter, or to find out about sponsorship opportunities, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.
Gareth Jones on Speed!